This is the Besotted Pride of West London podcast, and we're coming to you in relegation week. We say it's relegation week because, well, it's relegation fortnight actually, because the Bees, back-to-back relegation characters we're going to be going to. First of all, we had Sheffield United, then we got Luton on Saturday, and then we got Everton. It's like a chain we're going through. Probably the most crucial part of the B season. We've passed phase one with flying colours, and we're going into phase two, going down to Luton on Saturday. My name's Billy Grant. I'm sitting here in the virtual joint with my man Laney. How are you?
Yeah, really good actually. Yeah, much better after getting the monkey off our back and getting 3 points against the Blades on Saturday. It was. We'll talk about that in a minute. It was a very positive afternoon. Spent with good beer and good friends and good company, and then a good performance. I wouldn't say excellent performance. It was good. It was all that was needed. And then, as you say, we've got two really tricky games to come up, but the pressure's off us a little bit. Not off us completely. And I'm sure Thomas Frank and the players, they'll be well aware that things can go wrong from here, but it's very, very, very unlikely. When you start using the word mathematical, you can swap that out with virtually impossible. So that's the kind of realms we're in at the moment, especially with them playing each other as well. It's all good. Looking forward to the day in Luton. Not looking forward to going to the ground or the place, but there you go. It is what it is, and we're lucky that we've got the golden ticket. It's they're very rare, and I feel fortunate to get one.
Very fortunate to get them. Like I said, you're going to go and see the Bees playing at Luton. Last time we were at Luton, it wasn't the best of experiences because there's two things. A, it was very cold, and B, it was if I remember rightly, it was a kind of like one of those games that we walked into that we thought, yes, absolutely no problem. And Luton were near the bottom of the Championship. We were fighting for promotion, and we went there at night and we completely and utterly fluffed it. It was a horrible night. It was cold. It was miserable. The ground was just it was just one of those football experiences that you just look back on thinking, I want to extinguish that from my brain. There was a snowstorm, I remember, as we walked back home. It was just a nightmare. And then after that, there came lockdown, and we never went to any more football matches, home or away, for quite a long time after that. So it's kind of got that etched on our brains. Luton, the last lockdown, I can't figure another L. Last lockdown element, last lockdown place that we went to. So we're going to go back there, and hopefully we're going to extinguish those skeletons from our cupboard. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but we've got loads of other stuff that we're going to talk about on this podcast as well. Obviously, we got the match on Saturday. We had the Sheffield United game, so we're going to talk about that. We've got JB with some facts and funks on that one as well. And then we're going to look forward to the Luton game as well, which is going to be a very, very interesting match indeed. And we've also got Ian Robertson, from the Luton podcast as well. He's going to be chatting to us a little bit later about Luton's predicament. But Laney, let's just go back to Saturday, or let's go back to last night. Because Brentford women played last night, actually, at Wheatsheaf. Was it Wheatsheaf Park? Is it Wheatsheaf Park? Yeah, they went down to Wheatsheaf Park, down your way as well. And they had a game against... who did they have the game against? They had a game against Richmond Park. Yeah. Richmond Park as well. And as everyone knows, the women's team has been doing really well. They had a slow start to the season, but they've been fighting their way up the table. And they knew that basically there's one aim in hand to try and get promotion. There's only one promotion place in their league as well, and they were quite far off the top, but also they had a lot of games in hand. They've gone on and they've done very well, and they've won a number of those games in hand. And then on Saturday they went to Clapton. If anyone knows about the Clapton, the dripping pan, as they call it, it's one of those hipster football venues, as they call them, a hipster football team. The Dulwich Hamlets, the Captains, the White Leafs of the world. You go down there, they've got the drums, they've got the supporters, they've got all sorts of atmosphere going on down there. And maybe the atmosphere is a little bit too much, because the Bees, in the end, they dropped a couple of points, and they were expected to get a win down at Clapton. They only got a draw, which means that they're still on getting the title, but it makes it a little bit tighter. It means they've got to win all 4 of their last matches, and the big one comes against Benfica on Saturday. Brentford are taking on Benfica at 3 o'clock down at Bedford. We're asking everyone to get down there. It's a massive game. If we get those 3 points, then we're going to be set on for kind of veering in for the title. Obviously, we've got to win our final 3 games on top of that as well, but it's a massive match. So get yourselves down to Bedford, 3 o'clock on Saturday, because like I said to you, that draw at Clapton, they did at the weekend, has kind of just changed things a little bit and put a little bit more pressure on the girls, but it's not pressure that they can't handle, is it, Laney?
No, I hope not. Let's be honest with you. And I'm going to try and get down there on Sunday. It's as you say, it's like a real sort of make or break game, and it will be interesting. If you've not watched the women's team play, I think it's probably a really good one to go to. It's I know it adds more and more pressure on them, but it'd be great to get some back in and get down to Bedford and have a couple of beers, and I'm sure there'll be a really good atmosphere down there. But it's a real positive thing, and I think nerves are going to come into it, and I think there'll be as you say, I think they'll rise to the challenge, and it just really makes for a really exciting end to the season. So I wish them well, and whatever will be.
That's right, que sera, wherever will be. And if you want to as well, if you just want to get a little bit more on the women's game as well, go and check out, we did a women's team podcast a few weeks ago. It wasn't very long ago at all, just before the big game at New Griffin Park as well. And I interviewed Captain Molly Holmes, who's wicked player, wicked person. She's absolutely lovely. So we sat down, we had a little bit of a chin wag down at at Bedford, actually. Went down to Bedford on a Friday evening as well for one of their training sessions, and did really well. And also, like I said to you, I also want to mention as well the fact that, Brentford B actually got promoted. Actually, I think they won the championship as well, so they've actually won that, so they've actually gone up, so that's big respect to Charlotte Tanner and her crew down there as well. So she's worked really hard. We've known Charlotte for years, big Brentford fan, player for Brentford, and also now coach of the women's B team as well. So she's actually kind of they've actually gone and they've actually won, and they've got promoted, and they're very happy about that as well. So like I said, big success there in the Brentford camp, so they'll be going up the leagues as well. So fingers crossed. Brentford women could do exactly the same as well on the flip side of that as well. So which is all good. Looking forward to that. I'll see if I can try and get down there on Sunday. I think we've got a match with one of our teams on Sunday, but we could do a bit of jiggery pokery. You can see what we can do on that one. And talk about jiggery pokery. There's a bit of pokery to be done, right? Because you've only got about 3 or 4 days left before season tickets window closes, right? So anyone's got a season ticket, you've got about 3 or 4 days left to actually renew your season ticket. I'm not quite sure why they've closed the season ticket renewal date on the 22nd or whatever it is of April, when some people get paid towards the end of the month. But I suppose it's not about getting paid, it's about setting up your payments for the future. So I suppose they probably don't want to leave it till May, because then it just probably too late. But anyway, so you've got a few more days left if you want to do your season ticket. Then after that, I suppose it's going to be going open to, if people have decided to give up their season ticket or they're moving to another stand, there's going to be a little bit of movement. And we could see some more new faces in the West Stand, which could be quite interesting, that actually, Laney, couldn't it? Because are you quite happy with the kind of the vibe in the West Stand? Because obviously the difficulty is you move to a new stadium. It takes a little bit of time to get your feet under the table. I know that there's some people that may move to one particular stand and they didn't particularly like it there. So the following season, they asked for a transfer. They transferred over. And I suppose we're going to take 2 or 3 or 4 years for you to actually kind of get comfortable and a feel for the stadium to make it feel really like home. But are you kind of quite happy with how things are going, in the stadium and in our stand, particularly in the West Stand, Laney?
No, not really. I'm not renewing. I don't even really like football, if I'm honest with you. And the person I'm standing next to is getting right on my tits, to be honest. So I'm probably going to jack it in, mate. To be honest, I've had enough.
Okay. You get anywhere else you're thinking of maybe going to watch instead? Watch the rugby.
Yeah, rugby. Yeah, I'm going to change codes. No, I've just had enough, mate. Just had enough.
Okay, well, it's here's something. It means you've had enough. You tell you what you sound like. You sound exactly like the Nottingham Forest fans who sound like they've had enough. It's really amazing because, as we know, we talk about this quite a lot on the podcast. We talk about this because it's more of a matter of fact. It's not we're not pointing fingers at them, but we've talked about the fact, about teams going out or spending money out of their remit as such, getting their points deductions, and we say as a club it's not fair to us. I know Luton fans are thinking it's absolutely not fair to them because you've got a club who is basically breaking the rules. Even though they don't think they're breaking the rules are there. So it's kind of the rules are there. It's almost like having a red light and just saying, well, I don't believe in red lights, so I'm just going to go through them anyway. And then you get a parking ticket, and then you go, well, I don't believe in red lights, so it's against the rules. You're still going to get a parking ticket. I don't care if you don't believe it or not. That's kind of how it is with Forest, So they believe that the only way that they can fight the top six is by breaking the rules, which to me is a bit of a nonsense because, do what Brighton did where they take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years to build themselves up. Then you could start fighting the top six. You don't go inside there and do it straight away. But they've been absolutely flying the flag behind their owner and what they're doing, and everything is right. And the fact they've broken the rules is fine because at the end of the day, it means that they stayed up, and doesn't matter that anyone else went down instead of all this kind of stuff. I thought it was really fine. I thought that's fine. It's that sort of kind of similar fan loyalty that we saw when Derby County decided to sell their stadium to try and kind of evade the FFP by just cheating the rules in, and they sold their stadium to their owner for money that more than it's worth, so that they inflated the figures on the books so that they didn't get fined for FFP, and then they could try and get into the Premier League, and then they didn't, and then in the end the owner ran out of money, and then they didn't have a stadium anymore. Then they got relegated, and they were in all sorts of trouble, and then the fans started going, our owner, he's an idiot. Where I was thinking, hold on a minute, 6 months ago you thought he's the best person in the world, he's the cleverest person in the world for actually kind of evading the EFL. So it reminds me of them. And also Sheffield Wednesday did a similar thing as well, where they sold their stadium and they're thinking our owner is the best thing in the world, he's so clever, and the next minute they were no money and they kind of in all sorts of trouble and had no stadium and they got relegated. And and I just thought that this kind of blind loyalty to whatever your club does is right is really dangerous, because you've always got to have a critical view, right? And listen, at the moment, we're really lucky because in the last sort of 8-9 years, Brentford have been doing some very positive things, and we tip our hat to them. But we've always been there to have a look to make sure that's right or that's not right. We can actually at least talk to them and say, we don't believe that's right, or the thing that you're doing, that shouldn't be happening. And to be fair, the club turns around to us and say, actually, you're right there. We might actually kind of readdress that. There are even issues that may have happened now, and we'll still, we will, and also fans will turn around to the club and say, I'm not happy about that. So I find it really bizarre when fans just turn around and say, oh, yeah, well, let's just look, that's just the way it is, our club. It's the only way we're going to get success. We just need to go and do it, because you've got to kind of keep, about your club. You've got to also think about what your club's all about. And if you're not careful, these people that own these clubs, they'll disappear off in 10 years' time. And if they leave your club in tatters, you're all over the place. So it's your job to kind of maintain the integrity of your club. That's what I believe. The fans, that's what they have to do. And that's not an old school feel. That's just a feel that I have. But to be fair, Forest, they were backing the owner because they thought, him cheating was fine and it was great and he was doing the right thing for the club. But then, interestingly, he's now gone and raised their season tickets by 25%, which basically means that because he's gone up and he's spent all this money and he's spent it really badly on all these players, like on 100 grand and 120 grand a week and stuff like that, and now he's going, well, you're going to have to pay for that. They've gone absolutely ballistic, and all of a sudden he's not a nice person, and he's a terrible business person, and he's taken up the wall, and just honestly, I've never seen anything like it. The switch is just absolutely amazing. At a time that they're meant to be sort of galvanizing and pulling themselves together to pull themselves out of relegation trouble, they've dropped that. I mean, and then Nottingham Forest sort of kind of dropped this tweet saying, well, we've got 11,000 people on the wait list, so if you don't want to pay for your season ticket, we got another 11,000 people, and they've gone absolutely garrity. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how Nottingham Forest's last 4 games are going to go, because they've gone from what seems a united fan base, united behind basically them just doing anything they can do to survive, and whether or not that means relegating Luton or Everton or anybody else or who's around them, that should be to just being very unhappy with their whole setup, and they just half of them want to just get relegated because they're fed up with it all. I mean, it's bonkers, isn't it, Laney?
Not very bright, if I'm honest with you. It's just like, we've got to pay for it. Oh, no, screw that. No. Oh, was it happy like he's paying for it? Mr. Dodgy's paying for it. Yeah, he can sack Cooper, who we love, and we'll kind of turn a bit of a blind eye to that. We're not happy about it, but we'll just go with it. And then we've got the new guy who's he's doing no better than Cooper at all, and he's probably going to he's doing his best to take him down. And they're bending the rules, and they're potentially going to have to move from this the stadium that's been their home forever on the banks of the Trent, and they sing the song. And they're happy to, kind of, we're going to have to do this to survive. And then that includes actually getting better sustainably run. It's probably needs to be put up. The season tickets probably do need to go up. I'm as a fan, you never want that, but it's just typical, isn't it? No, we're not going to pay for it. You can't have it both ways. You can't be better. You can't be better run and run in an efficient way, and to learn from mistakes. I guess that's if they're going to stay in the Premier League, then they're going to have to, because I saw going back one stage, a lot of their kind of like what they call mitigating circumstances is kind of they got promoted and they weren't expecting it, and they had a lot of loan players, so they had to buy basically a whole squad of players, and they were playing catch up, and it's not fair that they had to adapt so quickly, and obviously that was going to cost money, blah blah blah. But now they're in a situation where if they are going to stay up, and they stand a good chance of staying up, let's be honest, then if they are going to stay up, then they have to learn by the mistakes. They can't use the same excuses time after time. So something's got to change, and they know how much money is going to come in from being in the Premier League. That's that will go up in time, but they'll know they can't budget for that, and the new deals further down the line, they may be relegated by that time. So they know that there's going to be a lot more money, but they're going to have to change their transfer strategy, and they're going to have to up their match day income. You can't have it always. Something's got to change. And you're right to say we're so fortunate that we've been so well run the last few years, and there's transfer surpluses, and although our money that's going to be spent is going to skyrocket, it's all within a kind of I'm not going to say 5-year plan, it's a bit wanky, but it's all part of a bigger picture, and you can't be worried that they're making it up on the hoof. And Forest, a lot does seem to change like week by week, and I just it's another example of how their clubs run compared to ours, and we're just fortunate, I think.
I mean, this sort of stems down to, like I said to you, and for me, it's listen, I don't know, because everyone's different, right? But for me, how a club moves forward, or how your club moves forward, I think is very important, right? I'm not a person, right, that wants to support a club that will just basically win at all costs, right? So what we'll do is that we will win and we'll get trophies, and we don't care about anything else, that is the mentality of some people, and that's fair play to them. They're quite happy for the club to charge loads and loads of money so they get money in, or to go and sort of kind of like say for example Manchester City. Manchester City basically are owned by a country, and they could buy any single player that they want to, right? So you can buy the best players in the world, and then you could do that. You can go out there and you can win anything you want to, except for the Champions League, obviously, but we won't talk about that. That's happened last night and didn't quite happen for them. But in principle, what I'm talking about. Now for me, and that's maybe because I've come from being supported at Brentford, who I've been through the grind, and you've seen it, and you've had to try and make things work. You have to be cleverer. For me, it's much more exciting, and it's much more fun kind of doing it the way that we do it. You get far less kind of exciting moments, but when they come, it's better, and you think we've earned that rather than you've kind of bought it. And I know that fans can't help the team that they've supported, and if the owners come in and that's what they want to do, then they just have to go with it. But I'd really hate that if it literally is a case, well, okay, we've got 10 times much money as you, we'll flood the market, we'll push the prices up, we'll buy all the best players, we'll do everything else, and everything will be fantastic, and then we'll go out there and win. You think, okay, that's kind of cool, but it feels a little bit hollow to me. A lot of Forest fans that I know were kind of quite happy for that to happen. And I think, for a club with the history that they've got now, I'm thinking that's a bit shallow, because I didn't think as a club there's something like that. I thought that there would be someone who would be more pride in kind of building themselves up over years and doing things the right way. But the comments that they turn around saying, we did the right thing in basically spending the money because we just, that's the only way that we would have stayed up. And I'm just thinking, well, that's not really the way that things should be in football. And if you're quite happy to kind of sacrifice your morals and your footballing morals just for a little bit of short-term victory, what have you got left? So I'm actually quite surprised by kind of their attitude and how things are. And listen, each to their own, because people might turn around and say to you, you're too old school, Bill. It don't work like that nowadays, mate. You just got to get loads of money in, and you just got to just get it in there, and you've just got to be the best, because if you don't do that, then you're just going to be left behind. And there's a lot of feeling about that. My Forest fans say to me, unless you've got a £50,000 stadium, £50 million, 50,000 person stadium, and you haven't got huge budgets, you're never going to compete with your Man Cities and everything like that. Yes, we know there's a gulf between us and them, but there are cleverer ways of actually kind of bringing that gulf to make it smaller. And I don't think it's going and buying Lingard and having him sitting on the bench, after he's on 120 grand a week, and you've paid whatever money for him. You know what I'm saying? Just things like that. You've got to be cleverer. So you know me, I like going to Forest. I think it's a great away day. I know some really good Forest mates who I'm having some good banter with at the moment now, and I just think it's a little bit of a shame. And I just think that this whole idea where they're saying fans should come together and fight against the top six, I do understand that to a certain extent, but that's not the battle at the moment now. The battle at the moment now is Luton Town, who we're playing on Saturday, right, who are basically saying we've done things all the right way, and we could be relegated because another team has basically cheated, and it's not really fair. You know what I'm saying? And I feel 100% for Luton Town, to the stage where you sort of think, actually, to be fair, if you've done things the right way, you deserve to have a decent shot at this, right? And the other teams, you kind of got to kind of look at yourself. So I don't know. There's quite a lot coming out of this whole conversation, and then the fact that now they've turned their back on the club because the season tickets triggered something, for me is kind of really weird, because I'm thinking, so it takes them actually kind of charging it back for you to actually say this isn't right, and for us to notice actually we're not happy with the way the club's run. And I think that's that again, maybe that's very football fan-esque. I mean, I don't know what you think, Laney.
Well, I mean, I've got two things to say really here as well. I mean, regarding the points deductions, I actually think they should have been a bit cleverer there as well, and they should have given them the points deductions and a minus 100 goal difference. So if they do finish level on points with a team that hasn't cheated, then the team that hasn't cheated get the advantage. So if Forest and Everton and Luton all finish on the same points, Luton are the ones that gain the advantage of the sanctions in that situation. And then the other thing I want to say is, I'm sure Forest fans are going, obsessed, triggered. I'll tell you what, you worry about your club, we'll worry about our club. And yeah, that's right to a certain extent, but it isn't, because we are involved in this whole debate, because until it's mathematically impossible for us to get relegated, we're still in it. It could be us. We could. I mean, it's not going to happen, but we could lose every single one of our remaining fixtures. It's a possibility until they're played, and then in which case, it's that situation where we have suffered because they've finished higher in the table. by breaking the rules. So it involves us, and so I think we have a say. I think we have an opinion, and I think I think, you know, as I keep saying week in, week out, they need to be seen to be punished. I don't personally think the points deductions at the moment are anywhere near proportionate to what they've done, and they can bleat on about it as much as they like, and they can point to the Stars badge. We got a star coming in 2089 anyway. So
what's that about? What's that about, Laney?
Oh, have you not seen the AI?
No.
AI is an artificial intelligence rated forecast of the Champions League winners up until I think it's like 2103 or something, and Forest are down to get a couple more Champions League wins, I think, in the next 50 years. And Brentford, remarkably, have been forecast by this robot to win the Champions League, and I think it's 2083 or something like that.
2087, I think it is.
2087. Okay, well,
2087.
Unless AI invents kind of living forever, I don't think you and I may be around for that. But you never know.
No.
I don't rule it out. I don't rule it out. But I'll have my season ticket back by then, so I'll be all right.
Yeah. Did you? Do you know who did not get a Champions League in that time?
Yes. Does it begin with A?
Who's that?
I said Arsenal.
I don't think, I'm not sure if Arsenal did actually. I think they might have done, but there's another team who definitely didn't get one actually as well. That's Fulham.
Oh, and QPR. They didn't get one like that.
QPR. No, I think they might have won the 4th Division Championship probably about 10 or 20 years after this date, as it was, like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so we're on track. We're on track for some sort of success. And that's what I'm saying, lady. It's about building, you know, so we can build towards 2087. You know what I'm saying? It's not about kind of a sort of instant success overnight, like, you know what I'm saying, like a lot of these people expect. But like I said, look, this is you know, I know it sounded like a bit of a serious conversation to start off with, but I just thought it was really interesting, you know, the switch from the Forest fans to kind of, you know, togetherness to kind of absolute rabid, you know, hatred of their owner and everything they're doing. And it's just almost like, it was like a sort of kind of a moment sort of kind of where their eyes opened for a minute and they just thought, actually, this isn't right how we've done this. And at the end of the day, you know, the fact is that, you know, if it comes to us paying for it, you know, he never asked us in the first place. If he'd asked us beforehand if we were happy with signing Lingard for 120 grand a week, we probably would have said no. But because he did it himself, we were happy with it. And if he cheated, we're happy with it. But now that we're paying for it, we're not happy with it. So it's kind of like football. We need to just retain our you know, our etiquette. We've got to retain what it's all about all the way through and not be switching from one to the next all the time. I know that's what football fans do, but maybe that's why it's good to just sit back, you know, sit back a little bit, have a little bit of an overview on things. Don't make sort of kind of comments immediately, but just sit down and have a little think about things and just try and be a little bit more level-headed about things. Because at the end of the day, football's a game that lasts for a long period of time. It's not going to be 1 year or 2 years. And at the end of the day, all of us have got to survive and move forward, or else it's not going to be the same. It's all going to be a little bit rubbish, you know what I'm saying? So have a little bit of a thought for everybody else and how we can actually work together rather than just about your own self on the old selfish front, isn't it, Laney? Selfish.
Oh, God, you're sensible, Bill.
Yes. So anyway, listen. Right, we've talked about Forest far too. I just got to comment this. Marinakis has produced a Nottingham Forest team that is awful on the pitch. He's incompetent at the finances, and he's demonstrated once and for all that he does not care one jot about the fans. No one convinced me otherwise. And I think this is a fan who about 2 months ago was really happy with everything that's going on, and that just replicates a lot of the kind of views that have been going on in and around the Forest camp at the moment now.
Quick question before we move on, because it's getting to the stage of the season. Like we can't have it always. We can't have all of the teams we want relegated. So there's two. Let's assume two are gone. Burnley and Sheffield United are gone. Right. So it leaves one place. We can't. You know, we can't have Luton. I don't want Luton to go down anyway. But you can't have Luton and the two cheats. So two of those three are gonna escape. You know, fact. Who would you choose to go down out of Luton, Everton, and Forest? You've only got that's all. That's the only position left. Which one are you going for, Bill?
Okay, so for me, And even though, and I know this is a Luton podcast, even though I don't massively enjoy going to Luton as an away day, because I think it's just quite a tricky away day, because you can't really drink locally in Luton, so you have to go elsewhere. But for all those factors, that's just a personal factor anyway, like that. It's quite nice to get inside a nice tight stadium, a bit of atmosphere. But for me, that's the scenario. But I think because they haven't cheated, I think that they should stay up. Between Everton and Nottingham Forest, I think the difficulty here for me is that I actually enjoy going to Nottingham Forest, and I have got Nottingham Forest mates, and even at the moment now we're having a proper ding-dong about all this nonsense that's going down. I think that for what they've done, I think that Forest do deserve to go down, but just for my own personal, because I'm big selfish as well, I would like Forest to stay up because it is a good away day, and I would like to go back there next season, which means that Everton will go down. How about yourself?
Okay. Oh, Forest all day long. You know, it's the Leedsness of them has kind of got it's amused me, and it's kind of like, you know, the serendipity of Leeds getting relegated last year, and then this year I can see it happening, but we'll see. I don't know. I won't lose sleep over any of them, but you know, as long as it's not us. But yeah, I'd like to see Luton escape as well, but. Not at the expense of giving up 3 points against them on Saturday.
Oh, there's some people that are talking about actually that Brentford could take a rest on Saturday and then concentrate their efforts on Fulham in a few weeks' time, which means that, you know, giving Luton 3 points. And I'm not saying that at all. I've heard a few people saying that with a little bit of a chuckle and a smile on their face, which probably won't go down particularly well in the Nottingham area. I'm hearing Brentford taking that kind of approach. I think one of my mates said to me, he goes, "Yeah, I wouldn't put it past you." He said, and I'm just thinking, hold on a second, you're saying that to us, but you're the one that's always cheated. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, listen, we'll move forward. Just a couple of other things as well. Talking about long intro, this isn't it? Just talking about players, and well, we weren't talking about players, but you know, talking about players for Brentford, because we're going to be coming towards the end of the season. We'll be looking at obviously bringing in some new players. We're not going to talk about Thiago at all over in Belgium. We'll just see how that pans out next year. But we've got a couple of players, quite a few players out on loan, and just seeing how they'll do. So Portsmouth in Division 1. Or Division 1 they've just won the league, and they, you know, Pompey, big team, you know, as I said, used to be in the Premier League a few years back. Big team. I remember Brentford playing them all the time. You know, going down there used to be quite hairy, it has to be said. The 657 crew and all that used to come up, you know, used to get the first train out of Portsmouth and go all around the country and cause all sorts of mayhem, as it was. I remember them coming down to New Griffin Park, or Old Griffin Park at the time, and we played them in a game. I think I was still at school and went down there on my bicycle, and I went in and I just looked on Portsmouth came down, and they literally had taken the new road. They had literally taken the new road, where basically there must have been about 2,000 Portsmouth fans in the new road. And how could you spot them? Because they were all wearing their Ticini tracksuits. There was like a blue, orange, yellow, green, literally just a sea of Ticini tracksuits to the left of us, where they just basically just taken our side home end, as it was. And that at the time was a little bit like, okay, Portsmouth are a little bit of a force within football. Anyway, they dropped away, but they're on their way back. And if you've ever been to Portsmouth, it is still pretty lively. You know, even when they got relegated, and they came to Old Griffin Park as well. And even when they got relegated, they all invaded the pitch. Do you remember that game, Lady, when they invaded the pitch?
Yeah, I remember that game you're talking about against Portsmouth. It was early 80s. It was a bank holiday weekend. I think it might have been May bank holiday, and it was.
No, I'm talking about when they got relegated recently.
No, but I'm talking about the game. I'm talking about the game you said when you took your bike.
Oh yeah,
going back. But yeah, I don't remember the relegation pitch invasion one. But yeah, it's good to see them, you know, on the bounce back, because as you rightly say, you know, they're a really traditional, great. I mean, Fratton Park's an incredible place. It's a bit of an odd place, you know, in that big car park. But there's, you know, when it's rocking, it's properly rocking in there. And I've got to know quite a few Pompey fans from doing my books with them. And Jake, you know, he's Pompey through and through, and he's got the Portsmouth little tattoos, the 3 dots on his hands, where that's the way, you know, mate. If you're from Pompey, you got your 3 dots on your in between your thumb and your first finger. That's a tell. But John Massino, ex-Brentford player. Looks like he's got a huge future in the game. He got the gig down at Fratton Park, and he's taken them up. I don't know if you remember much about him. He was kind of a bit part player. He came on a few times. He was, he went off to Wickham after us, didn't he, in Oxford and stuff, and he did great things there. But he was under Andy Scott, I think. He left, but he was a classy player, classy young player. So it's great to see how he's kind of morphed into a great young manager. So I wish him well. I wish the club well.
Yeah, and I was actually drinking with his old man, his dad, in Russia, as you do for World Cup 2018 in a bar. When surprisingly, Laney, and I've done it for a while, where I was actually playing the piano as well. So yeah, I was playing the piano in the bar in Russia with John Massinio's dad, as you do. And these are the kind of crazy things we do when we go to England away. So yeah, he's nice, really, really nice bloke. And yeah, which is all good. So like I said to you, good luck to him. But interestingly, he's got a Brentford player down at Portsmouth, which is Miles Peart-Harris, who went off there on loan. And it seems that Miles probably isn't doing as well as we thought, because what did Massinio say? He said he's seen glimpses of him, but he would like to see more. And he wants to see more of the Brentford loanee's match-winning quality as the temperature rises for their bid to reach the second tier. He's made 10 appearances since arriving on loan from the Premier League, producing a man of the match performance at Port Vale on his debut. So he had a really good debut, and they thought, this is really good. But since then, he's been off and on, and I don't think that he featured in the last 2 or 3 games as well. So I think it's one of those scenarios where it's kind of another loan that hasn't quite gone to plan, and I don't know where the future is for Peart-Harris, because he hasn't quite made it at Portsmouth. So he's going to have to go somewhere else and try and do the business, and it's not looking great, is it, Laney?
No, it's not looking good for him. You can't write it off completely, but you assume that going to the third tier is the perfect opportunity for him to get minutes under his belt, gain confidence, get some form, and show that he's a Premiership player or he's a Championship player. And for him not to get minutes there, I don't know where it goes for him, to be honest, because he's not going to come straight back into our first team. He's not going to get straight back into our bench. We've got a big summer of improvement and strengthening. So you would assume that they're looking at another loan move for him next year, and you think time's running out. It's not to say he can't make a really good career, but it's not gonna. It doesn't look like it's shaping up for it to happen at Brentford. And you can only use the Chelsea kind of badge, and that on your CV for so long. Before people just go, it's just another one off the conveyor belt that's not worked. It's a shame. I hope that next season he can get back on track. But I'd hope that he goes down there and he stays down there for another year, and he helps Portsmouth, push on and strengthen for the Championship. But it looks like he'll be coming back, and we have to find another option for him.
Yes, yeah, and then talking about again, same league as well, Division 1. Bolton got another one of our Brentford players, Paris Magoma, who went down there. He actually he's down at Bolton, and let's just put it this way: the Bolton fans are very, very happy with him. It's the exact opposite, a loan spell that's going very, very well. Magoma scored on Tuesday night against, I think it's Shrewsbury that he scored against as well. I think Paris Magoma runs onto the ball, slides a beautiful right foot shot into the bottom right corner. Apparently he's been really wooing the fans there, wooing the players there, wooing the league there. It's doing very, very well. So Paris Magoma, it could be interesting because, obviously he's playing at Division 1 level now. Bolton are going for promotion. Whether or not they get it or not doesn't really matter because he's played his part. Whether or not next season he'll be coming back to Brentford and then slotting in and we'll get him in the mixer, or whether or not he might actually play at a slightly higher level, I don't know. But it just goes to show you that he's taken his opportunity and he's actually taken it really well and shown that he could potentially be a future player for us. I mean, it's obviously still a long way to go because there's a big gulf between like the middle of the Premier League and like the top of Division 1. But it's about prospects, isn't it, Laney?
Yeah, we get a completely different vibe about him and the situation up at Bolton. They're third, I believe, in League One, so there's a good chance that they could nick second place. I think Derby are in second at the moment, so there's still sort of 6 points to play for. I think I've got 2 more games, so if not the playoffs. So there's momentum going there, and it's a it's a demonstration of when a loan move does work. And for some reason, the loan situations aren't great. We don't seem to be able to say that every time we send one out, there's success. A lot of them don't get the minutes that we would hope. We can't demand that they start, but they're not a success, and it's a real pity, because it's an opportunity that once they're gone, we're left with a problem. Then they have to succeed elsewhere. That's the reason we've sent them out. They're not ready for our first team. So what do we do with them? So we have to make a decision then. Let's probably get rid. So, they're doing themselves no favours if they can't shine.
No favours whatsoever. So anyway, we did ourselves lots of favours on Saturday when Sheffield United, the Blades, came down. We had a really good day, a really long day, it has to be said. There's a bit of struggling going on towards the end of the evening, but one is allowed to struggle when the team's been struggling for so long and they decide that they actually pull it out the bag. One is allowed to struggle. And yes, we're going to go and have a little drink, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the struggles that took place as a result of our win against Sheffield United. Sheffield United, the Blades, came down to New Griffin Park. It's interesting because they came down with this almost like this resigned posture to them. We had our friends, Reg and Mark, the Blades, came down. We had Bram, who I met out in Japan in 2002 as well. He came down. Blades, I met all sorts of Blades, the podcast characters and all sorts of characters. We just met them we went to Strand on the Green, and they came down, and they didn't come down because they were expecting to see Sheffield United win. They came down in that old-fashioned kick football out of football kind of attitude, to basically have a good day out and come and support their football team. And none of them expected to even get a point on Saturday. Now, maybe it's just me living in a world where kind of we expected that kind of thing week in and week out. So you end up kind of, in a situation where you end up just chatting with people and talking about football and all sorts of other stuff, and just, becoming a bit of a social event. And it was great. And like I said to you, just like when we went up when we went up to Sheffield, and again, being inside their pubs with them, chatting with them, it was just like a really nice vibe of just mixing of football people who just happened to be there to watch their team. Yes, we lost, but we had a really good day other than watching the game. And they came down, and by the river, we saw them after the game, and they just said, we've had a really good time, coming down there. We like coming down there. We're going to miss coming down there. Yeah, of course we support our team, and they get more fans than us. There are, inverted commas, a bigger side than us when it comes to numbers of fans. But it wasn't really about the football for them. It was for us because we needed to win, and it ended up being a really good day, wasn't it, Laney?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a really early start, and as I said in the intro, met some really good friends and some really good people, and it was a really nice vibe. The sun was out and down by the side of the river. I mean, what a stunning part of West London we're in now. People rave on about Craven Cottage and the river, but you forget that we're only a stone's throw further away from the river than they are, and it's a better part. I think you can walk along it, and you walk over to Kew Gardens, and it looked stunning, and so yeah, it was nice to go down there afterwards. Met some characters, didn't we? But it just all feels better when you got 3 points, and it all makes sense. We weren't kind of frustrated in any way. We could relax, we could chill, and we could fall asleep later on as well, Bill.
Yeah. No, to tell you something, it wasn't about falling asleep. It's about sort of kind of just being pensive about the day.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you close your eyes and you just think about the experiences that you had for the day. So
do you normally snore when you're pensive like that?
No. Listen, anyway, we should move on. Listen, we're going to go to the fans who also are very pensive about the day. We're going to speak to both the Brentford fans and also the Sheffield United fans directly after that game.
We didn't really get out of second gear today either. It was pretty comfortable in the end. Poor first half, but good second half. Great to see Charlotte back. Brilliant assist. And we won it. We did our job. Got a big game next week, but we should be fine regardless.
Tenacity over the whole season and over today as well. We've had injuries, and I know everyone else has as well. We've come through the other side. There you go. Second half came out a little bit and things changed up. That second goal that was disallowed, by the way. Oh, what a goal that would have been if it stood.
This stage of the season, we needed that result. As we got to put our heads on the teams below us, keep them pushed down, and that's it. At the end of the day, 2-0. Thank you very much. Good, and that will give us really good motivation going into the Luton game. I think we can enjoy the rest of the season now, hopefully, and get a few of the players back from injury. Ethan coming back on to be positive. Charlotte coming back on. Great to see them back.
I have to say, I thought Matt Verso was magnificent today. I thought he had an absolutely superb game. In fact, both fullbacks were great. I think Brian had a bit of an off day by his normal eye standards. I don't think any of the front three really excelled themselves, to be honest. If we're going to nitpick, Damsgaard so deserved that goal, and it's just sort of like, fuck VAR, isn't it? Fuck VAR. The man hasn't scored since Euro 2020.
No one's coming to this game thinking it's going to be a really classy, crisp, clean game. Given the situation that both teams are finding themselves in, you know it's going to be a little bit of a dogfight. Arguably, people like that. It makes for an exciting game when there's a lot riding on it, so it's a bit more entertaining. But no, all the problems that we faced today were self-inflicted, really. Sheffield didn't challenge us. We kind of brought a lot of issues on ourselves, and then we managed to get it together in the end, and we come in with the 3 points. As you said, the result is what matters. I think for fans, for me in particular, it's very positive to see, obviously, Pinnock back in the squad, Sharda back in the squad. I think the players play better as well, because they're a bit more confident, knowing that they've got backup, they've got a good bench coming on, they've got a lot of support, the fans get behind it, it all feeds into itself very positively.
Once we were 2-0 up, we started playing with confidence again, and that's a lot of football, isn't it? It's confidence, just having that little bit of swag. We were doing things that we weren't doing in the first sort of 5 minutes, and hopefully if we can take that into Luton, which is going to be a battle, we know that.
But what a result to make sure we're staying up and ease. A few people are worried. I wasn't worried. I know you haven't been worried, but a few people that have been concerned. How good is it to get those points in the bag? It was lively in the middle, and great to see Sharda come on towards the end and give that little flick to Frank the Tank. So really pleased with how everyone played. But for me, probably Damsgaard with Brian and Sergio just behind.
I still thought at that point we were in it. Then you went 2-0 up, and then VAR intervened. And normally VAR don't help us out. We don't even understand why your second goal was ruled out. And I thought we were still in game. And then towards end, yeah, you finish us off. What can I say? A good club. Love Brentford, great club. Love coming down here. You do it right. And when you were up in Sheffield, the one thing that we kept saying to you was, you've got a well-organised, well-managed club. And if you've got a well-organised, well-managed club, you're going to do all right.
Fantastic day. Fantastic people. Football, a little bit disappointed in regards to my team, but up the bees, you did well. Can't say more than that.
That first goal was clearly a deflection off our defender and a bit lucky, if I'm honest. Second goal, yeah, we gave it you on a plate, you ran away with it. But I will tell you something though, I did like the ground, and I liked the away end was great. Normally as an away fan, you get the pants, and actually you looked after us today. I liked the safe standing, service was good at half time, sausage rolls were good, beers were good, yeah. I did like the ground, I must admit that.
Neither side created an awful lot of anything. It was a well-contested game of football. Nobody really did a lot to win it. We conceded a bit of a soft own goal. And then after that, we brought on a lot of attacking players, left ourselves a little bit open at the back. And to be fair, the second goal was, well taken. Can't really argue with that. But whether the second would have come without the first goal, who knows?
We got what we wanted today. It was a victory. That's all that really mattered. I think it flattered Sheffield United. I think we deserved more than that. I don't know why on earth that third goal or the second goal was ruled out. It was. We got. It was comfortable. It really wasn't nervy as I thought it would be, to be honest. They didn't really have any moments. It was within our everyone's comfort zone. I don't think it wasn't. I don't think there was many areas of the ground that were kind of petrified at any stage, and it was just lovely to hear, free from desire. Some people call it, modern, but I think it's lovely, to be able to celebrate a victory in a certain way in the top flight. Again, I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime, and it looks like we've cemented our place here for another year.
There we go. Bees fans, very happy. Blades fans, they're just kind of, yeah, whatever, man. We've had a good day out after that game. And like I said to you, we were very happy. I'll tell you what wasn't that package, but you met her before as well, was my friend Anne Grant, if you check her out as well. She used to be the British High Commissioner of South Africa. So we invited her down to the game as well. And part of the reason why, it's just a bit of a payback, because she put myself and a load of football fans up in her High Commissioner's mansion back in South Africa a few years back when we went for an England game. It wasn't the World Cup, it was before. We went for a friendly out there. Myself, QPR fans, Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans. There's like a load of us. And she said, you might as well stay at my house. So we actually stayed at this massive mansion, we could see sort of kind of Table Mountain in the background, and we had a right laugh, for a few days. Instead of staying in a hostel, we stayed in the High Commissioner's mansion. So it's really nice to kind of sort of see her. She's retired now, but she came down to see the Bees because she quite likes us. So Anne Grant was there with our little crew afterwards, and she was being pensive as well during the game, before the game, and after the game as well, lady. But to something just coming back to that match itself. Was the result ever in doubt for you?
Not really, no. Until the second goal went in, until the first goal went in, we couldn't get too ahead of ourselves. Not once did I really kind of feel that they were that dangerous, and I thought. Having seen football for as long as I have now, you get a vibe of how things are going to work out. And of course, there's always outliers in that. But yeah, I thought Sheffield United were okay, but they were nothing special, and we didn't have to be much more special than that to get past them. To be honest with you, get over the line. I thought we'd go at them a little bit harder. I thought I expected Ivan Toney to start. So it was disappointing not to have him in the team. But it was just we did what we needed to do, and really that was all that mattered. So yeah, I used the word relief again, and I was satisfied with us looking like a Premiership team. And I said last week that if Sheffield United aren't strong enough to survive in this division, and if we can't beat them, then you've got to question whether we are. And there was no questions left at the end of the day. We still go back to that. We're not mathematically safe, and we can dance around the head of a pin about that. But it was easy is not the right word, but it was comfortable.
Comfortable is probably a bit of an understatement. Like I said to you, there was no point during that game where I actually thought that we were going to lose that game at all. If anything, you might have thought, we were going to score, especially, at half time you've gone in. But again, we kind of went in a little bit steady Eddie, and then you just notch it up a little bit. Looking at whoscored.com, looking where the strengths and weaknesses were. Brentford were effective at creating scoring opportunities from long shot situations, and also we were strong at finishing. We were caught offside often, which is often the case with us as well. Sheffield United, their team had no significant strengths. They were poor at finishing. They gave away a lot of free kicks around the box, and they committed a high number of individual errors. When it comes to top performers, according to whoscored.com, and this probably just goes to show you exactly where we're at now. Reguilon, who I thought had a great game, and I think everyone thought he had a great game as well. He's stepping up. We're going to talk about him in a little bit, but Reguilon, top of the pile, 7.8 for the Bees. Then Flecken 7.5, Zanka 7.4, Roslev 7.4, Janelt got 7.3. So basically, all the top three people were Brentford players, which I think was I don't think it just kind of is what you expected as well. And interestingly, the Tasmanian Bee, who is there, Dave Tasmanian Bee Genford, who was actually in the Globe on Saturday. We saw him and his family. Lovely to meet his family before the game. They're actually on the post-match podcast as well, and he's the one that does our man of the matches every week. He gets his supercomputer out, and he's got all sorts of computations going on. And he interestingly had Damsgaard was down as the best player, with Roslev second best and Reguilon third best. So again, it goes to show you how things shift depending on who is actually taking those votes. But that came from the fans who actually voted in. So like I said to you, that was quite interestingly. And also, like I said to you, the most shots, not loads of shots. Brereton 2 shots, with Jaden Bogle 2 shots, and then Reguilon with 1, Wisa 1, Malpay with 1 as well. And like I said to you, overall, Bees, like I said, doing well. 10 attempts to 8 actually. Was 7-7 in open play, 2-0 in set pieces. I haven't actually checked the XG. In general, like I said to you, I didn't feel that we're in that much danger in that game. Laney, you?
No, I mean, Brereton Diaz, he had a good run in the first half, and you expect him to get the shot away. As a critical kind of observation, you could say, well, if Damsgaard's shot doesn't get toe poked into the back of the net, that wouldn't have been a goal probably, and would we have had to wait until Onyeka's goal? Would that have been the winner? Would a goal come from elsewhere? But it's all if.
What about the disallowed goal? Later?
Yeah, but that was disallowed. Maybe that would we would have been really gutted if that was the opener and that was disallowed. Then you start to worry. Then you start to think it's not your day. Then you start to get into an Arsenal situation with them losing to Aston Villa at the weekend. A game where they had to win, and the longer the game goes on at 0-0, you start to go, okay, I know what's going to happen here. They're going to get a breakaway goal, and that's going to flip this. So the Damsgaard cross that gets diverted into the bottom corner, it came at the perfect time, and then everyone kind of relaxes a bit, and you think, well, are they going to come at us? If they do, then we will pick them off, and we will get a second. I think we'd all, in an ideal world, the second Damsgaard, the volley from that beautiful free kick, that makes it 2-0, and Onyeka's third, is the icing on the cake. That would have been super comfortable. You could have got really extra pensive then, Bill.
Yes, yeah, that's right. And I'll tell you something as well, because it's interesting, because just talking about XG as well, it wasn't a huge sort of kind of big opportunity game. Brentford was 1.02 to 0.84, so that's kind of even Stevens as it is. But then I suppose that probably takes into effect, I don't know whether or not the goal that was scored by Damsgaard that was disallowed, which we filmed it, was up on the Besotted Twitter, and you can actually have a look at it, where you can see there was a push where a player got pushed down, and obviously that's what they gave the foul for. A lot of people are sort of saying they thought it was a little bit soft. Now, the fact that he scored that but it wasn't allowed, does that mean that it didn't count towards the XG? Probably not. And also the goal that was scored, because obviously the goal was going elsewhere, and then it got a massive deflection. Damsgaard went in the back of the net, and I've looked at that sort of, obviously you say Damsgaard is Arblaster got it's down as an own goal, so the XG is actually 0 on that. It just didn't count as well, because obviously it wasn't a shot as such. So it's a bit of a weird one when it comes to sort of these big chances. These stats aren't 100% kind of spot on as such. So like I said to you, it's 1.02 to 0.84, which could have been a 1-1 game, could have been a 0-0 game, could have been 1-0 either way. So, but at the end of the day, like I said to you, I've still felt very comfortable about how the Bees kind of panned that game out. Reguilón. It's a bit of a talking point, Reguilón, because obviously he went through a lot of question marks about him and how suitable he is to play for a team like us. He got sent off at Burnley, and a lot of people were very angry with him for getting sent off at Burnley and saying, look, mate, you've got enough experience and you shouldn't be doing things like that. But the last few games, he's actually shown what an asset he is to the team, isn't he, Laney?
Yeah, he's made us go, okay then, you're better than we thought, and you can see where the hype is now. So whether he is someone that we want to push the boat out on, and whether we can afford his wages, whether that creates an issue for next season. You assume Rico isn't going to be fit anytime soon, so he does continue to solve a problem, but. And then we bring in another left back. Well, we have to do that in the summer, and then that allows him to then be slowly fed into the team when Reguilón's suspended every third game. But it's something now. I think that the club will probably be thinking a little bit more seriously about keeping him at the club for next season. I think we'd all kind of said no, it isn't. Would rather take a risk somewhere else. If we're actually going to make next season safer than this one, and a lot more enjoyable, let's call it that, then we're going to need stability, and we're going to need more quality, and he clearly does that. I mean, the matchup at Aston Villa was if that's the one that's going to be on his show reels on YouTube. So it's a perfect demonstration of what he can bring to the team. Maybe he's also pulled his finger out a bit after Burnley. Maybe he felt like he'd let himself and the team down. And also he's maybe actually playing for a contract. Maybe he wants to stay. Maybe he's enjoying his time here. All that can help, but it's going to be a financial decision at the end of the day. He's not cheap.
Yeah, that's right as well. And also just briefly as well, Roslev as well. I mean, listen, you've been singing his praises the whole time, saying he's almost like a bit of an unsung hero. But it's one of those. I think it's one of those things where you talk about Brentford, you talk about you talk about teams buying players like Lingard and all these players. They bring them in for ridiculous amounts of money and then they just shelve them because they're rubbish. And then you get somebody like Roslev who comes in and some people go, he's not good enough, but Brentford just stick with them because you see what they've got and you think, I'm going to develop them, I'll develop them. And eventually, ping, you could say, oh my God, this guy's just going to another level. And Roslev, as of late, he's just going to show you, he's worth his weight in gold as a player who, even if he becomes a bench player, if we get a player who is of a higher echelon than him, he will actually kind of really start adding to our squad, because you're not going to say, oh my God, we're bringing Roslev on. He's actually kind of really, really adding to the side. And it just goes to show you how important patience is in kind of building a good team, having a good vision is in building a good team, just not listening to the naysayers and people who think that they know everything and then telling you you're doing something wrong and it's flipping from left to right every moment. And Roslev he's been a proper revelation, hasn't he?
Yeah, big game. Mads is a player that I agree with you, and I agree with a lot of people that he's been written off, and I can never work out why. I mean, I know he's not a lot of things. He wasn't the opposite of Rico. He wasn't lightning quick and the yin to Rico's yang. They're very different players, but he's still young and he's still growing. And I think this season he's kind of like he's come of age. I can't. There might be one or two games where I've just thought, oh, hold on, bit of a liability here. And I'm sure everyone's going, oh yeah, what about that? What about that? He got rinsed by so and so. You've got to forget we're in the Premier Division, and there are going to be times where every defender, no matter how good you are, whether you're Walker, whether you're Stones, whether you're whether you're Van Dijk, whoever you are, there's going to be games where you just have an off one, and someone's got the skill and ability to tear you a new one. But I just think, yeah, we can improve. We can get someone faster down the wing, but in recent games he's on form, and I see nothing about him that makes me kind of like worried. And we've got Aya and Hickey to come back. I think the right back area is sorted. And my barometer, Andy Watson, the Dubai B gripper, he's been writing big game ads off for quite a long time. And then I get a text yesterday, Laney, I've changed my mind about Mads. I'm still not digging the Frank Onyeka. He's got to go, but Mads Roslev, he can stay now. And I went, okay, cheers. He'll be delighted with that decision, Andy. So I'm expecting more from him next year. And if we ultimately make a decision and go, we could do a lot better than him, he's got to be worth 10 million now. So there's a good chance he might go to Germany in the summer with Denmark. His form has come at a good time for him on an international level as well. So yeah, fair play, good luck to him. He's done nothing wrong.
Yes, indeed. So listen, we're going to go to JB. He's got some facts and some funk. Pre-Luton facts and funk. We're going to go to JB to listen to his facts and his funk.
Hello, Jonathan Burchill here again. After a wait of 63 days, we finally got a win on Saturday. It had been 9 games since the win at Wolves on the 10th of February, It had been 9 games since we scored the first goal of a game. It had been 9 games played without the injured Ethan Pinnock. We started with 4 at the back for the 12th time in this Premier League season, after an absence of 14 games. Having played in the opening 6 games in League and Cup, Kevin Schade then missed 30 games injured before returning against Sheffield United. That's the longest a player's had a mid-season gap due to injury since Sergi Canos' 33 in 2019-2020, although his return was only possible when the season was extended due to the pandemic. It was only in the 4th Premier League game this season that all 8 of our outfield subs had previously played in the Premier League. With over 80 Brentford League goals between them, the prospect of one of them coming on and scoring was therefore quite high. Although unlike the Grand National, with the favourite taking the headlines, it was the long odds outsider, Frank Onyeka, who scored his first goal for us in his 74th match. But for a deflection and a dubious VAR decision, it could have been Mikkel Damsgaard breaking his duck too in his 49th match. In his 4 years at the club, Ivan Toney has only started on the bench in just 4 league games. Saturday was the only occasion where he was unused throughout the game. There have been 19 League and Cup matches at the G-Tech this season. Saturday was the first since the 20th of January, and only the 5th time this season that we've heard Peter Gillam's celebratory playlist after a victory.
So there you go, JB, facts and funk before the Luton game. And talking about facts, we've got stats, we've got tactics, we've got the Gowler from Bees Breakdown. Jacob Gowler from the States every single week. Check him out on Bees Breakdown on besotted.com. He does an article every week on the game from last weekend. So he's got the Sheffield United game and how it broke down tactically. Absolutely brilliant article. Check him out 100%. But anyway, he's given us the lowdown on that Sheffield United game, and also he's looking forward to the Luton game tactically and also statistically.
Hey, this is Jacob Gowler with Bees Breakdown. So for that Sheffield review, the underlying numbers don't suggest a dominating performance. The Bees only created 1.02 XG. But still, Brentford came with a huge 3 points against Sheffield, and Sheffield played their typical direct football, but this was partly due to Brentford's high press preventing Sheffield from building out of the back. And pressing stats back this up, showing that the Bees were winning back possession high up the pitch, which helped create some dangerous chances going forward. The Bees also routinely threatened on set plays. They accumulated 2 disallowed goals from set pieces, one of which was surprising to disallow. One other interesting note was that Brentford altered their build-up off goal kicks from when they were using 3 center backs, and that was seemingly to take advantage of Sheffield pressing with 2 forwards. Alright, so for that Luton preview, they're currently 18th due to them giving up the most XGA in the league so far this season. And their keeper has helped keep them somewhat in games, as well as highly overperforming their XG. They've scored around 5 more goals than expected. And although their passing stats are near the bottom of the table, one worry is the amount of crosses that they complete into the box. So Brentford lead with 91, but Luton aren't too far behind at 74. But much of this is due to the massive amount of crosses they attempt. They have attempted the most crosses in the Premier League with 733. So hopefully Pinnock's fit enough to help clear some of those crosses that they lump in. One other worry is clearances in the box. So especially after a shot, Luton lead the Premier League with 14 goals on second shots. So Brentford's going to have to win aerial duels and then win second balls against the side with a high work rate.
So that was the Gowler Bees Breakdown, giving us the tactics and the stats on the Sheffield United game and the Luton game. Just getting us in the mode. And talk about getting us in the mode, we've got Luton on Saturday. We're going to go away, we're going to come back and we're going to discuss that Luton game. So Luton on Saturday is a big game. It is a big game. It's not as big a game as it would have been if we hadn't taken 3 points from Sheffield United and the results around us didn't go according to plan. But it's still a game that we want to get a result out of so that, you know, we can just chill a little bit more as we go into the back end of the season. You know, it'd be nice to go into the Fulham game, going so they're not having to think that, you know, we don't want Fulham to embarrass us in one way or the other, you know, by putting us into a predicament So, for me, that's why it's important for us to set our stall out right. Obviously, Luton have got they got big fish to fry at the moment now, because it's not only us. They're looking around them. They get results here and there, which kind of puts people around them and gives them a little bit of the jitters. Because, like I said to you, they seem to put results out the bag, and they've got the fighting spirit, and they've got some pace in their side, and defensively they're a little bit shaky, which we'll probably find out about in a little bit later. But they're one of those teams which I think a lot of people say remind us of us. Particularly maybe when we're in the in the lower leagues, when you're fighting against the odds, fighting against all these sides with loads of money and loads of arrogant fans telling you that they're so much better than you and they've got so many more trophies than you and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, mate. There you go, bang, it's beating them 1-0. So you've always got to watch out for a team like Luton. Teams like Luton, hey Laney. Saturday is going to be not an easy one. We know about the cauldronous Luton Stadium. We were there 2005 when, like I said to you, Martin Allen walked around the side of the pitch and completely and utterly wound up the Luton fans to a stage where I just thought they were going to take the roof off. I thought they were going to jump on the pitch and tear his head off. Like it was completely bonkers. And then it also wound up the Brentford fans as well in that FA Cup match, which we ended up winning. And I think we went on. Did we on a bit of a cup run that year? I think we possibly did. But that was mad, and that was the maddest I've ever been down at Luton. And I know how it can get. So I'm not expecting anything less on Saturday. It's going to be an interesting one, lady, isn't it?
Yep, it certainly is. Yep, and it's, we don't go there with the same jeopardy. I'm looking forward to the day out. I think we can have a proper day out without sort of like being overly concerned. I think the game's going to be as tough as it always ever was going to be. Luton are really going to chuck it at us, and they've got the the intensity and the skills and they've got the tools there to do a job on us. I just think that we can be a little bit more kind of not relaxed, but we can have a bit more swagger, and if we can keep it tight at the back, we got to start believing that we can hit them on the break, and we are going to get opportunities. And not that I'm comparing us to Man City, but Man City created God knows how many chances against Luton last week, and that's by playing football. So you can play football against them and still carve out chances. It's just a matter of I think they'll score, but I think we got to back ourselves to be scoring at least one or two. So if we can come out with this with a point, I'll take that all day long now. But I still think we can go and win there. But it's a fascinating one, because you've got Everton playing Forest on Sunday. So both games are kind of the link together. It's gonna we'll know a lot more about the relegation shake-up. 5 games to go at the moment. We'll have 4 after the match. Others still might have 5. There's still a lot of points to play for, but yeah, I'm looking forward to going there. Hopefully they will survive, and they've got a new ground coming in the not foreseeable future. So things will change. Kenilworth Road, it may be the last time I go there, and it may not be. But I'm very positive, Bill.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, let's find out a bit more about Luton. So this is a bit of a rare moment. For the first time in 1,100 episodes of the Pride of West London podcast, the opposition fan has failed to deliver his or her review in time for our deadline. And we waited, but we knew that you need the podcast out there, especially before the weekend. So we thought, what we're going to do, we put the podcast up without the Luton fan review. And then what we're going to do is today, on Friday, we're going to attempt to get the Luton review in. And if we do, we'll slot it in. So after drive time, maybe by 7 o'clock on Friday night. Hopefully it will be in there. Check back in by deleting your podcast from your podcast platform. Re-upload it and you'll get a new version, and hopefully that version will have the opposition fan, the Luton fan, on it. Apologies about that, but these things happen. But we needed to get the podcast out to you, you bees. There's all this stuff going around. We've got the points deductions and around them. Is it fair? Is it not fair? Luton's fight. You've got players that, used to play for us and, who didn't quite make the grade with us, probably a little bit too early. like the Bennies of the world, but then they've gone into Luton, they've done the business as well. You've got other players who've gone in there as well, Andros Townsend and people like that who are kind of like, they're doing really well for the club. But also what you've got is that they've kind of seemed to embrace the spirit of what the club is about. It's like this underdog feeling that they've got, us against the world. We'll go out there and we'll do the business, but we won't cheat. We'll just do it the right way, and if it doesn't work out for us, we'll just deal with it, and then we'll just come back at whatever time. And I quite like that attitude, innit, Laney?
Yeah, there's something about. I mean, when one of the other big success stories of the season's been like Ross Barkley, the way he's kind of shone in that team. They're getting a lot of kind of love from places, sometimes justified, sometimes not justified. I thought Mika Richards, his comments on Match of the Day last Saturday night were odd. He was saying how brilliant they were, but they just got battered. And I know what he's trying to say, but he just wasn't communicating it very well. They've got a character, they've got a spirit. I think Rob Edwards is a great young manager, and I've liked having them in the division, and I like the fact that they're a team like us, and we can compete and contribute at the top level. There's a lot of clubs, a lot of club owners that would love it if Brentford and Luton were nowhere near this division, but. That's not the way football is. All the time we've got a pyramid, and all the time the best teams on the pitch can be there on merit. It gives everyone a chance, and their story is like bonkers great. To be non-league and to come back and survive and to get back to the top is just a fairy tale. People rave about Wrexham, who might be on the same. They just got promoted. They just gone back-to-back promotions from League Two. But Luton, there's even more of an injustice there. Their points deductions, 30 points deductions, didn't they? It made it impossible for them to survive. That's a punishment. They won't. The irony about people bleating about 2 points and 4 points and 6 points and 10s won't be lost on Luton Town. They got hit really hard. For that reason alone, I want them to do all right. So, I wish them well, but I want us to win on Saturday.
Yeah, okay. So looking at Luton, their strengths and their weaknesses. Luton's strengths coming back from losing positions, and also they're strong in the air, which could be a problem for us as well. Weaknesses: keeping possession of the ball, avoiding individual errors, defending counter-attacks, defending set pieces, defending against through ball attacks, very weak against defending against skillful players, and also very weak in protecting the lead. They attempt crosses often, they play with width, they take a lot of shots, they attack down the right, they like long balls, and they're not very aggressive. There are a couple of things that we need to watch out for. I mean, ball in the air is always going to be a problem for us at the moment without Ethan Pinnock, who, to be fair, we didn't mention him. He was actually back on Saturday. He didn't actually play, but the fact he was on the bench was brought a smile to my face. How about yours?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, him and Sharda, it was great just to see them back, and such a huge loss for us. Again, we haven't got to go through the whole injury crisis again, but to see us coming out the other side at this time of year, slightly frustrating because the season's going to come to an end and everyone's going to be fit, but just hopefully they can all have a really chilled summer and then come back. We're all ready and we haven't got to go through this all over again. So yeah, Ethan Pinnock, what a player.
What an absolute player. So like I said to you, a few dangers there for us as well. Like I said to you, take lots of shots. They like to hit you on the break. They've got some pace in their side. I noticed that Ogbeni wasn't playing in their last game at the weekend as well. So I don't know if there's an injury there or what's going on as well. And also I think they had a few players out injured in defence as well. And I know defence is they're kind of slightly weaker element. So again, I'm not sure who is coming back and who's not coming back this weekend. But there may be a few little kind of light at the end of the tunnel there for us where we can hit them hard, especially the fact that we've got Mbumo is back himself, and Wisa didn't have their best games on Saturday, did they, against Sheffield United? Laney, you didn't think so at all?
No, they weren't at their best, but we all need to step it up a little bit more because they're going to chuck the old proverbial kitchen sink at us, aren't they?
Yeah, so again, maybe they've got a little bit of a rest for that game. Maybe Ethan Pinnock, we decided not to play him and risk him because we knew that Sheffield United weren't great in the air. They didn't use their aerial strength at all, and we knew that, and we probably thought, let's give Ethan an extra week because we're going to really need it against Luton Town. So maybe we might be seeing Ethan coming back into the side on Saturday, which is going to be very much needed as well, like I said to you, and the ability to bring Sharda on with his pace, something that we've been missing in our side. And Bumo's back again. We've missed that pace for 4 or 5 months as well. It's really changed our game, so it could be something that we can hit them slightly, almost like in a light for light basis. They lose the ball, we get the ball back, and bang, we're going to hit them. So it could be quite an exciting game. Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to a big atmosphere in the ground, and I'm looking forward to seeing our team do themselves justice. It's an opportunity now to get as many points now between now and the end of the season. There's points there to be had, I think, but the next 2 games absolutely going to be absolutely attritional at times, I think.
Absolute attrition grinding away. So listen, I'm just going to ask you, Laney, Saturday, I'm going to ask you for a score prediction. I'm not sure, did either of us get the Sheffield United prediction right? 2-0. No, I think we both thought there's going to be goals in it, but no, clean sheet, which is quite a nice thing. Score prediction Saturday, Laney.
2-1 Brentford.
2-1 to the Bees, and I'm going to go 3-1 to the mighty Bees. So right, looking forward to Saturday. Going out, I think there's a bit of Harpenden action going on. Actually, we're going to sort of drinking on the outskirts of the Luton. I think is where we're going to be looking at as well. May even go for a little bit of brunch in the country. Actually, lady, fancy going for a little bit of brunch in the country?
I'll brunch, yeah.
Oh yes, that's right. Well, you got to celebrate your last few weeks without a before you lose your season ticket, because as you've heard, Laney has decided he's going to give up his season ticket. He's had enough. Just like him and the Forest fans are going to be sitting down watching F1 every week during the season instead, because they think it's going to be much more exciting, and you don't get ripped off by F1 people like you do, like by football owners. Isn't that right, lady? Yes, I saw you ranting there.
Yes.
Which is all good. But listen, this is the Besotted Pride of West London podcast. Looking forward to the game on Saturday. It's going to be a good day out. Enjoy yourselves wherever you do. I might bump into you in the zones that we're going to be in. We're going to be out rather early, it has to be said. Like I said to you, and looking forward to it as well. The Holland man in the house as well, giving him the shout as well. Saw and knew him from back in the day, and he's still there, in his Hertfordshire zone. So this is sort of bread and butter to him, So he's going to be taking us out in the Hertfordshire manner as it goes as well. So, but other than that, Laney, it's been good chatting to you today in the virtual joint. Like I said to you, we kind of probably went on a little bit, but we had to get things off our chest.
It's been a long one. You're obviously very pensive, Bill. That's probably what it is.
That's right. I've had a lot of thinking going on, but I've got it off my chest, and I hope you feel better about that. Don't forget to get down to the women's game on Sunday down at Bedford. It's a big game, a BG, and they need 3 points as well. Don't forget, if you're going to Luton, enjoy yourselves. Very disappointed the club didn't do a beanbag to the club as well. They should have done a beanbag, just to get the fans that couldn't get the 1,000 tickets that are on sale to everybody else, that they could have gone and enjoyed themselves down at the club. But I'm sure there'll be lots of streams all over the place, and we're not suggesting that you watch a stream, but if you happen to be watching a stream, enjoy yourself watching that game, and let's go down there. Let's get 3 points. As we say, come on, you bees. Let's beat them Hatters. Let's go. Cat in the Hat.
Good afternoon.